Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. Recently, there was a news report that the United States put pressure on Japan and issued a warning, urging it to take measures to strengthen restrictions on the export of chip equipment to China. The warning letter was issued by the Special Committee on China, which is affiliated with the U.S. House of Representatives. The letter clearly stated that if Japan does not take action, the United States may impose restrictions on semiconductor subsidies for Japanese companies, and impose stricter restrictions on them when exporting related equipment. This series of actions clearly shows that the United States is gradually increasing restrictions on its allies to curb China's rise in the semiconductor field. However, Ames, which obeyed the United States and took the lead in taking action against China, suffered a big explosion in performance in the third quarter. In recent years, China has invested a lot of resources in research and development in the field of chip manufacturing technology, especially in key links such as lithography machines and semiconductor materials. China's progress has brought great pressure to the United States. For example, in the past, the core technology of lithography machines was in the hands of Dutch companies and was basically monopolized by the West, which posed a restriction on China. However, today China has made many achievements and breakthroughs in this field. In order to ensure its dominance in the world while limiting China's development, the United States has tightened restrictions on the export of high-end technology to China in the past 2 years, not only setting restrictions on itself, but also trying to get other countries to do the same. The lithography technology is in the hands of Dutch companies, and the Chinese market is huge. If the Netherlands imposes restrictions, it will lose this market. However, under strong pressure from the United States, the Netherlands had to succumb. Although Japan has also taken action, it has not fully met the expectations of the United States, which has forced the United States to treat Japan with a more resolute tone to ensure victory in the global chip dispute. The United States warned Japan to put pressure. Japan's annual exports of raw materials such as silicon and photoresist are huge, which are crucial to global chip production, making Japanese companies an indispensable position in the global technology supply chain. For many years, Japan has been a key member of the global electronics industry chain, and has very close trade ties with China. However, the United States has been trying to win over Japan, putting it in a difficult choice. According to statistics, the total amount of semiconductor equipment exported by Japan to China increased significantly last year, partly because Chinese companies accelerated their purchases to cope with possible export restrictions in the future. The Chinese market is vital to Japanese companies. On the other hand, Japan cannot break away from the United States and also needs the US market and technology. If it is unwilling to comply with US requirements, it may be punished by the United States. In order to build an iron triangle closely centered on Chinese chip technology, as soon as possible, the United States has held multiple rounds of negotiations with the Netherlands and Japan. The United States has long strictly restricted the export of U.S. technology-related products worldwide through the Foreign Direct Product Rule. This rule gives the U.S. government broad power to impose export restrictions on any product containing U.S. technology, even if the product is manufactured in other countries. This time, the United States directly put pressure on Japan through a warning letter. If Japan does not assist in restricting exports to China, the U.S. Congress may pass relevant legislation to expand the scope of application of existing laws, thereby bringing more Japanese companies under U.S. export control. More radical measures may include cutting financial support for Japanese companies that do not comply with restrictions, or even canceling their opportunities to cooperate with U.S. technology companies. China and the United States are competing in the field of science and technology, and chips are one of the focuses of the competition. The reason why China wants to compete with the United States is that it does not want to be restricted or strangled, but the original intention of the United States is not the same. The United States hopes to maintain its dominant position and restrict the development of other countries. However, the United States ignores the possible consequences of the competitive behavior it chooses. China is a huge market, and its movements will inevitably lead to the reconstruction of the global industrial chain. Global market demand is highly dependent on the Chinese market, so restrictions on China are likely to trigger a series of chain reactions. ASML's performance exploded. Not only countries with close relations with China, such as Japan and the Netherlands, but also the global semiconductor supply chain will be affected to varying degrees. Take the Netherlands as an example. Dutch lithography companies occupy an important share in the global lithography market. Under the continued pressure of the United States, the Dutch government upgraded its export control measures on China last year, prohibiting the export of these high-end lithography equipment to China, and further expanded the scope of control this year. However, these policies have had a negative impact on the Dutch economy and enterprises. As a national treasure enterprise in the Netherlands, ASML has received a large number of orders in the Chinese market in the past few years. However, export restrictions have undoubtedly brought great uncertainty to its future development. Recently, ASML released its latest financial report, showing that its performance has declined sharply, which shocked the market. Sales volume this quarter fell sharply, exceeding the previous one, and far below expected sales volume. This not only caused its stock price to fall directly by 16.26%, setting the largest drop in more than 20 years. The explosion of ASML's performance actually reveals a deeper problem. Export restrictions have an impact on the Chinese market, but also promote China's scientific research progress in this field, and the Netherlands and its local companies will face tremendous pressure as a result. For companies like ASML, the market is the basis for their survival. Looking at the global market, China can be said to be the largest customer. It is almost impossible to find a market of the same size in the short term, and perhaps it does not exist at all. So it is completely understandable to reduce the number of orders to the Chinese market. The explosion of this financial report not only represents ASML's current predicament, but also reflects the consequences that the Netherlands must bear after implementing restrictive policies. Under pressure from the United States, the Netherlands chose to obey the United States and abandon China, which led to losses for its own companies. Given the existence of the Dutch example, Japan will face difficult choices in the future. In addition, China may also take strong countermeasures, and if Japan imposes restrictions on China, China will take corresponding economic countermeasures. China has already imposed controls on the export of certain key semiconductor materials, such as gallium, germanium and antimony. These materials are essential for chip production, so this move may have a significant impact on Japan's automobile manufacturing and electronics industries. According to sources, several large Japanese companies, including Toyota, have expressed to the government their concerns about possible countermeasures from China. The Chinese market is not only important for Japan's semiconductor equipment, but also the world's largest consumer market for its automobile, electronics, and other industries. Is Japan really willing to give up this huge market? Whether Japan succumbs to US pressure, or tries to maintain a cooperative relationship with China and the United States, it will face unprecedented challenges. In this global chip dispute, whether Japan can develop a strategy that can both safeguard its own interests and promote international cooperation remains to be seen.